Are you a sneakerhead? Do you know the story behind Michael Jordan's iconic shoes? Well, in case you're out of the loop or just want to take a trip down memory lane, we're exploring the stories, cultural influence, and significance of the first three shoes in the legendary sneaker empire. But before we dive into the stories, let's talk about why these shoes are so important to the culture. The sneaker industry is big business, and Michael Jordan played a huge role in creating the hype surrounding it. His Air Jordan line has become a cultural phenomenon and a status symbol for sneaker enthusiasts. Each model of the Air Jordan line was designed to cater to Michael Jordan's needs on the court, while also pushing the boundaries of what was possible in sneaker design. The shoe's style, functionality, and cultural impact make them a must-have for sneakerheads and collectors alike. Learning about the stories behind each shoe can give you a deeper appreciation for the brand and its influence on the sneaker culture. So without further ado, let's delve into the stories behind the first three models of the Air Jordan line. The Air Jordan 1 was the first model in the Air Jordan shoe line, released in 1985 to the public during Jordan's second season with the Bulls. This sneaker is a true icon of the industry, beloved by sneakerheads and basketball fans alike. But did you know that it almost didn't happen? Back in 1984, Nike was looking for a new face for their basketball shoe line. They found that face in a young Michael Jordan, who was just starting his sophomore season with the Chicago Bulls. But not everyone was convinced that Jordan was the right choice. Despite the naysayers, Nike went ahead and released the Air Jordan 1 in 1985. And boy, did it take off! In its first year alone, the sneaker sold $130 million. It was an instant hit, helping to take Nike out of a slump and back to the top of the sports apparel industry. One of the reasons the Air Jordan 1 was so successful was because of Michael Jordan's rise to fame. As he became more popular, so did his shoes. But what really set the Air Jordan 1 apart was its variety of colors. Before it came along, most basketball shoes were pretty plain: white, black, navy, or gray. But the Air Jordan 1 came in a whole range of colors, including the iconic white, black, and red. This made them instantly recognizable and helped to cement their place in American pop culture. Over the years, the Air Jordan 1 has been re-released several times, each time generating long lines outside of stores across the nation. And sneaker collectors consider it one of the most iconic sneakers of all time. In fact, in 2020, a pair of Jordan 1s certified to be worn by Michael Jordan himself sold for a record $560,000. From its controversial beginnings to its status as a cultural icon, this sneaker has had an incredible journey. And with Nike's ability to manage scarcity, the Jordan 1 has remained relevant for nearly 4 decades. After the success of the Jordan 1, Nike released the second model in the iconic Air Jordan sneaker line. Released in 1986, just a year after the monumental success of the Air Jordan 1, the Air Jordan 2 was a significant departure from its predecessor in terms of design and branding. Nike took a massive risk by making drastic changes to the design of the shoe, taking away some of the key elements that had made the Jordan 1 so popular. One of the most notable changes was the removal of the Nike swoosh from the upper of the shoe. Nike's vision for the Air Jordan 2 was to create a more sophisticated-looking shoe that could be functional on the court while also suitable for casual wear. The result was a sleek, low-top sneaker that featured a unique design on the upper, with a reptilian texture that gave the shoe a distinct look and feel. Despite the changes, Michael Jordan embraced the Air Jordan 2 entering his sophomore season with the Chicago Bulls. In fact, Jordan was wearing the Air Jordan 2s in the first game of the Bulls season against the New York Knicks, where he scored an incredible 50 points, breaking the Madison Square Garden record for most points scored by an opposing player. Jordan went on to have a historic season in the Air Jordan 2s, averaging 37 points per game and becoming the first NBA player to achieve 200 steals and 100 blocks during a single season. This was also the season when Jordan won the slam dunk contest in Seattle with his legendary foul line dunk. In total, Jordan wore the Air Jordan 2s in 18 games during the 1986 to 1987 season. Many people credit the Air Jordan 2 with helping Jordan achieve these incredible feats. So maybe it was the shoes after all. The Air Jordan 2s were also seen being worn by Bill Murray in the movie Space Jam, further cementing their place in pop culture history. And since their original release in 1986, the Air Jordan 2s have had several re-releases as the Jordan Retro 2. In 1995, the shoes were re-released as the Air Jordan 2 Highs and Air Jordan 2 Lows, giving fans a chance to own a piece of sneaker history. So while the Air Jordan 2 may not be quite as iconic as the Air Jordan 1, it remains an important part of the Air Jordan sneaker line and a reminder of the risk-taking spirit that has defined Nike's approach to design and innovation. The last shoe we'll cover in this episode of the iconic Jordan shoe series is the Air Jordan 3, which was released in 1988 and quickly became a cultural icon. The bold, head-turning design of the sneaker was a stark contrast to its predecessors. The black cement colorway is arguably the most famous and is considered by many to be the greatest sneaker of all time. The Air Jordan 3 also introduced a number of firsts to the legacy of the Jordan brand. For starters, it was the first Air Jordan designed by Tinker Hatfield, who's now considered a legend in the world of sneaker design. Hatfield has been credited as being the reason the Jordan line even continued, after Michael Jordan was reportedly considering leaving Nike in 1987, until persuaded by Hatfield's model for the third edition of the shoe. The Air Jordan 3 was also the first shoe in the Jordan line to feature elephant print, which has become a staple in the Jordan apparel line. Another first for the Air Jordan 3 was the debut of the Jumpman logo, which replaced the old Jordan Wings logo. This logo has since become one of the most recognizable symbols in the world and is often featured on various Jordan brand apparel. The Air Jordan 3 was also the first Jordan shoe to feature a mid-top design, which was considered revolutionary at the time. This design provided more ankle support for players who didn't want a low top but didn't need a high top, making it a more versatile option for basketball players. And even the marketing effort for the Jordan 3 became a cultural staple. The ad campaign for the Air Jordan 3 featured the debut of Mars Blackman, a character created by Spike Lee. This ad campaign helped to establish the Jordan brand as a cultural phenomenon and helped to cement Michael Jordan's status as an icon. Michael Jordan wore the Air Jordan 3s during the 1987-88 season, making them famous when he broke them out in front of the crowd at the All-Star Game. This sneaker is considered one of the greatest ever made and is often listed in people's top 5 favorite sneakers in the Jordan line. The Air Jordan 3 was not only stylish, but it was also functional on the court. Jordan also wore the Air Jordan 3s during the 1988 NBA dunk contest, which was considered the GOAT dunk duel. This was the contest where Jordan won with a score of 50 on his final attempt, where he famously jumped from the free throw line to complete a dunk that's become known as the Jumpman dunk. This moment helped to solidify Jordan's status as a basketball legend and further popularize the Air Jordan 3. So overall, Michael Jordan's groundbreaking deal with Nike, coupled with the release of the first 3 Air Jordan models, sent shockwaves through the fashion and apparel industry, redefining the concept of athlete branding and paving the way for a new era of sports fashion. The iconic design of the legendary sneaker line and Michael Jordan's legendary moments while wearing them have made them some of the most famous sneakers of all time. They will always be remembered as a cultural icon and a symbol of Michael Jordan's greatness on the court.